just say it straight. She knew him after 2 days before she invited him to come to Africa and lie beneath the sky. And she wanted to have lots of sex with him.
Did
And
she?
he's a guy, come on, he's a guy who likes women who have sex. And so that's what they went under the sky.
Angela Levin, royal biographer. She knew him after 2 days before she invited him to come to Africa and lie beneath the sky. She wanted to have lots of sex with him. And he's a guy, come on. He's a guy who likes women who have sex. Wait, what? That isn't some anonymous Reddit rumor. That is a royal biographer who spent months inside Prince Harry's world saying out loud what palace courtiers have whispered for years. Meghan Markle didn't just fall in love with a prince, she ran a play. And right now, the whole thing is cracking so loudly that even the people paid to defend her are running out of excuses. Picture it. African wilderness, night sky so heavy with stars it looks like a prop from a romance film. A fire crackles. Harry, knowing this woman barely 72 hours, thinks he's living the soulmate fantasy Diana promised him. Meghan leans in, fingers tracing patterns on his knee, voice a silken murmur. But behind that gaze, not butterflies, a stopwatch. She's not counting stars, she's calculating net worth, tidal weight, and exactly how fast she can convert intimacy into a coronation. What you are watching isn't a marriage wobbling, it's the slow motion unraveling of a meticulously planned long con. And by the time you finish this video, you will understand exactly why palace staff use one word for her behind closed doors, and why Harry's own biographer is now predicting a shame-soaked return to the UK, ginger tail tucked firmly between his legs. Before we go any further, hit subscribe to the CelebTea Files, because we don't just cover the drama, we expose what the headlines are hiding. Let's rewind to the Harry the world actually adored. Before Montecito, before the Oprah face journey, before anyone had uttered the word Medsit. This was the people's prince in training. 2 tours of Afghanistan, genuine battlefield credibility. He could charm a room of veterans, flirt with Hollywood A-listers, and still be the bloke buying around for strangers at the pub. Even hardened Republicans admitted the kid had something. The Queen saw it and handed him the Commonwealth on a silver platter. He was, by every metric, the most popular member of the family, ahead of even Her Majesty. Then, Meghan arrived, and the world cheered. Biracial American actress crashing a stuffy institution. The Windsor wedding was pure dopamine. 15 people deep on the streets, tears, Union Jacks, a genuine belief that Diana's legacy had been reborn. The Queen personally gave Meghan one of her own treasured roles, the Association of Commonwealth Universities, and made sure she was woven into the heart of the family. All Meghan had to do was show up, smile, and not detonate. She couldn't even do that.
Both of them, she was very sad and very disappointed. She felt she'd really pushed the boat out to make Meghan welcome, to ensure that she had a proper sort of royal career, gave her patronages that mattered a great deal to the Queen herself, things like the patron of the Association of Commonwealth Universities, very old organisation. And you know, they had a great future ahead.
Because the truth, buried in off-the-record briefings and sworn biographies, is far uglier. Meghan didn't want equality, she wanted supremacy. And trust me, the next part gets so much worse. According to multiple insiders who spilled everything to Angela Levin, Meghan was seething from day one. She wasn't just miffed about walking behind Catherine, she was enraged. She genuinely believed she, a former cable actress with zero diplomatic training, was more qualified to be Princess of Wales than the woman who'd been quietly preparing for decades. At official events, aides had to physically pull her back when she tried to step ahead of Kate. And then she dispatched Harry to his grandmother with a direct demand: replace Catherine with Meghan because Kate hasn't worked properly.
No, but you see, she was 6 in line. She couldn't bear it that she had to walk behind Catherine. She couldn't bear it. If you watched earlier on, when they were indoors and they had to walk, she would often go ahead and they would pull her back. She didn't feel it was right. And one day, Harry went to his mother and he said, you ought to have Catherine, you ought to have Meghan taking over, because she's the one who worked up herself. Catherine has not worked properly. She hasn't got the experience. So it should be Meghan.
Harry, by then fully programmed, actually made that case to the Queen. He truly believed his wife was the cleverest person in the room. He still does.
He thinks, and still does, that she's incredibly clever.
Is she?
Of course she's not. He thinks so. He thinks she's incredibly clever, and he can't understand why everybody else doesn't.
The palace response was a polite but glacial no. And in that refusal, Meghan's resentment calcified into a systematic exit strategy. She wanted the trappings, but only if she could be the sun, not a satellite. But here is what nobody is talking about. The seduction that started it all wasn't chance.
Lady, and I wouldn't respect you actually, and I mean that, I love the bones of you, but I do believe that the reason he got with her in the first place was because she absolutely played him and used, let's put this politely to Angela Levin, used her womanly wiles to bring him into the fold. Would that be a good description?
Levin, commissioned to write Harry's official biography, uncovered a timeline that makes your stomach drop.
Because I was writing his biography and I heard all sorts of things and was told all sorts of things.
2 days after meeting Harry, Meghan invited him to Africa. Not a group excursion, a private, stars-as-ceiling seduction scene. Levin's precise words, broadcast to millions, she wanted to have lots of sex with him. And he's a guy who likes women who have sex. She knew exactly what she was doing. That wasn't a love-struck woman swept off her feet. That was a woman who'd researched her target, massively overestimated his fortune, and decided to use what one commentator called her womanly wiles to lock the deal. Once the ring was on, the mask started slipping. Staff inside Frogmore Cottage labeled her a landmine.
There are others, and I know people who know people who know people, and they all say the same thing. It's, you know, something's true just when you hear, even if it's second or third hand, ubiquitous feedback. And it's the same thing. She's viewed as a landmine. Nobody knows when she's going to go off. If you bump into her, she's going to go off when. And that, I heard, not those exact words, but I heard about, like it's just literal words like, it's too high risk. I think the word probably I heard the most was risk. It's just too high risk. People don't know what she's going to do, how she's going to use them, and then get dumped. And it's just...
The word most frequently attached to her in palace corridors was risk. People in her orbit, from PR gurus to charity partners, say the same thing. She uses people like disposable props, and her self-importance baffles even Hollywood veterans. Her employee retention rate sits at a catastrophic 3.7%.
People have left. They have a ghastly retention rate. I think their retention rate, I once calculated for the number of people I've met, is something like 3.7%, which is a terrible number. You look for good businesses have an over 90% retention rate. So that's a factual indicator. That's not my...
For context, a healthy business keeps over 90%. She burned 17 people in under 3 years. Every departure whispered the same warning: high risk. And yet Harry, love-bombed and isolated, couldn't process any of it. He genuinely thought he'd married a misunderstood genius. Even when the Queen, after the Oprah racism allegation aired, released one of the most iconic lines of her entire life: recollections may vary. Harry still couldn't hear the message. That was a monarch, in the most restrained language possible, calling them liars.
Royal family of racism. The Queen came out with one of the best lines of her entire life: recollections may vary.
Speculation.
Reframe this for a second. If you found out your partner had a 3.7% teen retention rate, every former friend called them a landmine, and your own grandmother said their version of reality was false, would you still be fighting to prove they're the real victim? Now, the receipts don't stop at HR nightmares. Meghan's charitable work tells the same story. An insider from Sentabali revealed donations dried up because the Sussex brand had become blind.
Well, Meghan even seems to be a liability in the charity sector. There was the row with Sentabali and Dr. Sophie Chandauka.
Toxic. During a supposed heartfelt speech about youth opportunities after Megxit, Meghan used the word I 49 times in 10 minutes.
And of course, even Meghan Markle, as reported by Tom Bauer in his new book, Revenge, wrote about a speech Meghan made, and it was supposed to be a charitable endeavour about the opportunities for young people after Megxit. She said the word I
Yes.
49 times in a 10-minute speech. So
Yeah.
Meghan and Harry, they're not even of value these days in the...
Count that. An eye every 12 seconds. On podcasts meant to spotlight causes, she reflexively steers every topic back to herself. The woman has everything. Intelligence, a figure most 40-somethings would envy, a global platform. And yet, she marketed jam. Refined sugar jam that one nutrition expert bluntly labeled a cancer risk.
It's a very good example. You can only check out if you bought at least 3 bottles of wine. Which business is so desperate that they make you buy a certain number of something because they have to offload the inventory? And then the other thing is, I think, and then she had asked me for my advice, not only be authentic, Mark, but market something that you personify, right? Like I mentioned before, not only is she very intelligent, but she's slim. She has a fantastic figure for a woman her age, in her early 40s, having had 2 children. So, marketing jam, high in refined sugar.
While positioning herself as a wellness oracle, she could have built an empire around how she stays camera ready after 2 kids. Instead, she forced customers to buy 3 bottles of her rosé just to check out. That's not branding, that's a going out of business play. This is the moment the story stops being celebrity gossip and becomes an alarm bell. Ask yourself, how many perfectly curated figures are running this exact blueprint right now? Latching onto powerful men, performing vulnerability, extracting every resource, then branding their exit as empowerment when the well runs dry. If a literal prince with centuries of institutional protection fell for it, what chance does anyone else have scrolling Instagram at 2 a.m.? And then we get to the video that confirmed for millions that Harry wasn't just unhappy, he was unspooling. A doorbell camera caught him wandering the exclusive streets of Belgravia or Mayfair, alone, lost, ringing random bells.
Ring on the doorbells, him wandering around, I think it was Belgravia or Mayfair, ringing on the doorbells of
Very
old friends.
strange.
How pitiful was that?
Well, indeed, I was very...
One commentator's brutal but unforgettable interpretation, I thought he was looking for his dealer. Whether you believe that or not, the image seared itself into the public mind. A prince, once the life of the party, now adrift while his wife scrolls through snubs from the Met Gala. She knew exactly what she was doing. Now we arrive at the forecast no one in the palace will say on the record, but everyone in that BBC studio agreed with. Patrick Kyle, a former aide to the Queen Mother, told Angela Levin with eerie certainty, within 5 to 10 years, Harry will be back in England with his ginger tail between his legs, and Meghan will be in California with an A-list star and 2 royal children. That window is wide open. Dickie Arbiter, the man who spent decades as the Queen's press secretary, was asked point blank if the marriage is in the toilet. His reply? I don't think you're too far off the mark.
Days about how allegedly Harry is up to his back teeth and is reaching the point of no return. Any opinion on that, Dickie?
Well, it's always looked a bit dodgy for quite a long time. Harry, in terms of...
Insiders feeding Radar Online claim Meghan's ruthless obsession with money, shocking, I know, has left Harry shaking with discontent.
But I do agree with these sources that say that her obsession with cash, that's a surprise, I love this, is leaving him shaking with discontent.
His speaking fee has cratered from $1 million to $50,000.
And it seems that Harry's rate for public speaking has gone from $1 million per speech to $50,000, which is good money, but still isn't going to touch the sides for their outgoings, is it?
Pocket change against Montecito's 16-bedroom mortgage, security detail, and California taxes. The Netflix deal limps, Spotify vanished, and the only asset guaranteed to spike a quarterly report is yet another family betrayal. That's the royal family's true fear, a third tell-all when the funds run dry. So we sit with the question every palace courtier is too terrified to ask aloud, but too smart not to lose sleep over. Will Harry actually walk away? Will we see that ginger tail tucked firmly between his legs as he lands at Heathrow, facing a brother who warned him, a father whose trust he obliterated, and a nation that once adored him? Or is he so psychologically welded to the fantasy, so determined to avoid admitting his entire family were right, that he'll ride the golden cage all the way down until the cameras finally look away? I need your opinion in the comments right now. Do you believe Harry will divorce Meghan within 2 years? Type tail talk if you think he's already mapping his escape back to the UK, or golden cage if you think he's trapped for life. And if you want every hidden detail of the biggest celebrity scandals broken down before the mainstream even catches a whiff, smash that like button, subscribe to the CelebTea files, and ring that notification bell. Because when this story detonates fully, you will hear the real version here first. No palace filters, no PR spin, just the truth delivered like your best friend passing you the tea.